Hello and welcome to the Kimbley IT podcast with myself, James Kimbley, joined with Kyle. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm all right, thank you.
And for the first time in ages, we've got a special guest on the podcast, Aimee Payne from Power Minerals, who are clients of ours. How are you doing, Aimee?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you.
Good stuff. Shall we go straight into the news section then? Oh, sorry, straight into the recap would help. Almost skipped out the recap there, Kyle.
Let's start at the start.
Yeah, it always helps when we start at the start. So here we go. An odd feature missing in Google Meets on mobile devices.
You didn't call it odd when you spoke to me about it. You used stronger language than that.
Oh, yeah, I remember what it is now. I'm glad you said that because I read that and I just forgot what it was.
Yeah, you were not happy about this.
Yeah, so it turns out with Google Meet, you've been using Google Meet quite often, Aimee, as well. So this is a little bug that we found in it. So if a Google Meet meeting, anyone can join on their desktop if they have the link. They click on the link and they can access the video call. It turns out, though, if they try and do it for the mobile app, they can only do it if they can sign into a G Suite account. So if they don't have a Google account, they can't actually use the mobile app to join the meeting. So yeah, I got very angry about that because we'd recommended it to a client to do it that way, and then we found out afterwards that if doing it on a desktop's fine, but if the other person who it doesn't work for your company wants to join using the mobile app, they can't. They have to because they have to have a Google account to sign in with.
Yeah.
And I got that annoyed with it that I actually contacted how do you pronounce his name? Javier.
Javier,
yeah, he's the head of G Suite anyway globally about it, and he got back to me to saying that they know about it and that problem has gone away with the next release of Google Meet that's coming out shortly. Anyone will be able to access Google Meet, no problem, whatever device, no requirements to sign in with a Google account.
that guy has been a godsend to that product, I think, to the whole suite. I think he's come in and gone, what is this? Why doesn't that work? And he's fixing things.
Yep, he's doing a real good job. He's my friend now. We're friends on Twitter. We follow each other.
Ooh, friends.
Yep.
Well, at least you contacts to go right to the top anyway. Cut out the middle guys and just go straight to the top. That's always when you get the best result.
Yeah, that's what I always do. Gets you in trouble, but it's always worth it. So we've been doing a load of try this now videos. So these are the videos we stick on our YouTube channel. They're normally between 1 to 3 minutes long, and they're just guides on how to do things quickly in G Suite. Some can be very simple, like Google Meet, how to set a meeting. It's normally we do it is when we get a lot of people that we look after asking the similar question. So we'll either turn it into a blog post or we'll turn it into a video. That means that whenever someone else asks the question, we could just send them a link to the video to go and watch it to see how to do it, and you learn better that way. And you've done a few recently as well.
Yeah, you've allowed me into the world of Try It Now. I can make them. It was always you.
You've been promoted now to director of Try This Now videos.
They're good, actually. They are good because sometimes you don't always have the motivation to make, say, a 10-minute video because you've got to think about what you're going to say and is it interesting. 2-minute video on something like how to recover a deleted file from Google Drive, dead easy to do. Only takes you about an hour altogether to edit it and put it all together. So it's been really good. Yeah, I've done a couple now. It's got me back in the mood for doing them.
And with short videos, people watch them. So if like Aimee, if we sent you a short 2-minute video, you're going to watch that over a 10-minute video.
Absolutely. And I think you've got more chance. For me personally, I'd rather see something and have it sort of explained quickly rather than somebody sending a long document with a step-by-step process. I think that the videos, I have watched a couple and it gets you the information quickly, and you can have it, for me, luckily with 2 screens, you can have it on one screen and do what you need to do on the other. So they've definitely been a help.
That's a good point with 2 screens, that is actually. That's a good way to do it. Yeah, play it on one and do it on the other. Mm.
Yeah.
Well, that's what normal people do, Carl. But do you know Carl only has 1 screen?
Really?
Yeah. So old school.
Yeah, I'm looking. When we got our setups decided, I already had the screen and the laptop for my study work anyway. So I've been really lucky that because of the setup in the office, I already had that set up at home anyway. And it is a godsend. Absolutely is.
You're lucky, James, I don't get a 14-inch CRT on the go.
They're the really old monitors, the old TV style monitors.
Yeah. So I actually have to manage back in the day.
Well, it's fine if you want all that radiation blasting at your face daily.
I love it. Love the radiation.
A bit of a suntan.
That's right.
So again, how-to guides, we've been doing those as well, publishing on the blog. I mainly do those ones.
You do. You don't let me near anything to do with the website, to be honest. You're allowed me on it.
No, that's true. That's true. You're allowed to visit it.
Yeah, I can visit it. That's it. Yeah.
Buy some services if you want to.
That's fine. That's your thing, and I don't get involved.
And I think this final point is something you stuck in. You've had a nightmare trying to ship goods to clients at the moment.
Yeah, because obviously with the COVID-19 thing, I'm trying to get access points to a new customer that's up in the Northeast and a few other things. And it's horrendous at the moment with the delivery companies. I'm sure they're really busy, but I still have my suspicions when they come to my house and they take the photograph and I'm in the house and I know they've not knocked the door, because if they do, my chihuahua goes mental. So they haven't. And this was FedEx up in the Northeast. And I said to FedEx, they've lost the package, they can't find it. And I said, find it. They said, oh, it's on the wagon. Right, deliver it to a local pickup depot. Yes, the nearest one is Scunthorpe. I'm like, that can't be right. The nearest one's Newcastle upon Tyne, can't be Scunthorpe. And so forth it went for a bit, James, until eventually they went, oh, you mean somewhere to pick it up from? Yes. You don't mean the warehouse? No. Yeah, it's been frustrating.
I can understand that with FedEx. We've had similar scenarios go on as a business as well. So,
I like UPD are usually my favourites. As long as my driver, Sanga, if you're listening, Sanga, knocks the door properly, you know you are. This is the guy who told me. I said, press my Ring doorbell. What's that? I said, it's a doorbell. It's a video doorbell. Never heard of it. And I seriously, dude, you've never heard of a video doorbell and you're a delivery guy. Never heard of it. Right. Education time. That's a video doorbell. Press the button.
He's obviously not been delivering to the right areas, Kyle, with people not having video doorbells.
There's an issue between me and him, and it'll get sorted out eventually because he's always my driver. So I always see him. We'll get there. Maybe I've got to tip him. I don't know.
How's the last fortnight been for you guys, Aimee, at Power Minerals?
It's been okay. Yes, everything. I think the team, obviously, there is a small number of people on the furlough scheme at the moment. So there's only a few of us that are still working. And I think now this has become the new normal. Everybody keeps referring to when things go back to normal, but we're not quite sure what that is, because this is now what we're living. And I think the percentage of the team went on furlough from the 1st of April. So there was a full month, where there was just myself and Will coordinating all the work with the directors, and Jodie, of course, in head of finance. So I think the past 2 weeks have been, for me, a little bit more calm, because the first few were very up and down. Everybody was getting used to it. We were understanding what we needed to do, the processes, obviously, with the industry seeing customers closing. Whereas now, the past 2 weeks, we're trying to get information on people coming back and understanding what the industry's doing. So I think in a whole, it's been a good 2 weeks. It's been positive. Everybody who is working seems really focused, which is good.
Super. Do you prefer working from home or in the office?
I'll be honest, I prefer the office. I love being at home. I think the flexibility and the feeling safe, I think, as well at the moment. Obviously, everybody feels very safe in their own four walls, but I miss the routine of physically going to a place of work. And I miss the people. I think more than anything, the people that are around you majority of your life during work, the office banter and the laughs and, you know, the chats that you have as a team, whether it be work related or not. I probably miss that side of it more than the physical office environment. I love being here. I think, you know, it's great to be at home, but there doesn't seem to be as much work-life balance, because you've constantly got your reminder of your work in your spare room or wherever you decide to work. I'm lucky that I've already got an office kitted out at home. But I would definitely say office is more for me. Yeah.
Super. Well,
what do you think about afterwards, after we return to a sense of normality or to normality? Would you take 1 or 2 days at home if that started to become more the norm, Aimee, do you think?
I think so. I think that's something that we discussed as a business anyway, that I think after the virus, or, you know, as things start to evolve again, we may look at a bit more flexibility with staff, because it's been proven that the business works very well from home. Everybody managed to get their systems set up very quickly. We've still been able to provide the service and do the work efficiently from home. So I think there's going to be that sense of flexibility if it's required. You know, if we're going to be out on the road or there's meetings, or even if people have got the gas man coming or something like that, to say, well, I'm going to take a day and work from home today. So I do think it's something that may happen more in the future, because everybody's got the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Let's save the questions so we don't, and move on to the news section. Otherwise, we'll run out of questions for Aimee's interview later on. So you okay to move on to the news section, Carl?
Yes, yeah, we is.
I found this first news item quite interesting. It's the National Cybersecurity Centre. They've published an email address that you can forward phishing emails to. So phishing emails are emails that come in that pretend, they try and trick you into doing something like maybe releasing bank details. They'll typically pretend to be somebody from like the finance department asking you to do a bank transfer, or click on a link to go somewhere to enter some details. But and the National Cybersecurity Centre is part of GCHQ, and they have, so there's an email address that you can now forward your emails onto, reporting@phishing.gov.uk. What's interesting is that they claim that it's an automated test. So you send the email there, that using automation, they'll detect if the website that it's linking to you or telling you to do is a phishing website, and they'll take it down. I find that hard to believe that they'll take it down instantaneously based on that.
Yeah, I found it hard. Yeah, I also agreed when you mentioned that, James, that okay, they can probably detect whether the site's malicious, but taking it down involves international jurisdiction and all sorts of stuff they come up with.
There's nothing more they can do that apart from email back saying, yeah, that was a phishing email that you received. Thanks for reporting it.
Exactly what they're going to do. Yeah,
they're claiming in their thing that they'll take it down immediately.
It's weird because everything else on that site is really top notch.
Yeah, the National Cybersecurity, but it's odd, that one, is how they've claimed it, because there's just no way you can do that. Because you've got all like .coms. .coms aren't even controlled by the UK. They're controlled by an American organisation.
Well, unless, do you think they're undertaking a denial of service attack for you on behalf of you? Let's do that. That's what they do, because that's about all they can do.
Yeah, there's not much they can do, and then they also advise that you report it to Action Fraud as well. We all know how useless Action Fraud is.
Yeah, I've had to report something to Action Fraud. That's not a fun process.
Well, actually, there was an investigation by Channel 4 News, I think it was last year, where Action Fraud, where you report them, they give you like a reference number that's been reported, but they do nothing else with it after that. It just sits on the computers. No one ever looks at it ever again. So reporting to Action Fraud is as useful as doing nothing.
Yep.
That's the end of that.
Dead air, James. You can edit that out. Look, this isn't radio.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll move on to. So this is interesting because we remember the hub. So this is part of G Suite, Aimee. It's a thing called the hub. We've heard rumours of it for a while. Yeah. And it's meant to. We don't actually 100% know what it is yet, but it's meant to be a new service for G Suite. It's going to be like, they're calling it the hub because it'll be the centre of where you do everything. So I imagine it'll bring in like your emails, it'll bring in your documents, your calendars, all that stuff. And the first clues of this hub have now been revealed on the Gmail app for Android. So Android Police, I think it is. Android
95 Google.
95 Google. They've got a copy of this new Gmail app on Android, and they've decompiled it. So they've looked into all the coding in it, and it's now got references in there for the hub. And it actually looks like on the mobile thing, they're going to be integrating Google Chat, Google Meet, Google Tasks directly into Gmail. So you don't have to jump out to other services. So if you wanted to start a Google Meet, it would start inside Gmail, a bit like what they've done on the desktop, but it will be an action bar along the bottom. So rather than having on your mobile phone where you've got an app for Gmail, you've got an app for Google Calendar, an app for Drive, an app for Meet, it's all integrated into one app.
Right.
Looks like it'll be the Gmail app, and that will have all the services running from inside it.
There's some sense in that, James, in not that switching between apps is an issue. If you click on a Meet link, it just opens the Meet app on your phone, and that's pretty straightforward. What I like is when somebody new comes to G Suite and they say, what app shall I get? I have to give them a big old list. And I have to say, but not this one, but that one, and don't get Duo. And so having it in one, when you go, just get this one, that would be good. It'd make it a lot easier for people.
But it's interesting as well, because this is kind of going back to the way it was. So previously, Google had everything built into an app called Google Plus, the social network that never took off. My Google's just kicked off because I've said the word Google, my Google Assistant. But anyway, they had everything inside Google Plus, so Hangouts and all that kind of stuff. And it was all in one app, and then they decided to split them all out into different apps like Google Photos, Google Hangouts, and all that kind of stuff. And now they're kind of going back to how it should be, where it's all inside one app, and you only download one app, and you've got everything you need. So I can only see it as a positive.
Sometimes, James, I'd like to go to Mountain View with a great big foam word that's called consistent and smash Googlers around the head with it. As a company, they're the worst for consistency, possibly since Microsoft. Who are pretty awful for it as well.
Yeah. Well, they've always had lots of messaging apps anyway.
Yes. Welcome to the Slagging Off Google podcast.
Pardon?
Welcome to the Slagging Off Google podcast.
See, we're not total fanboys, Aimee, of Google.
No, they get a roasting from us when they're rubbish. All right, what about Muskie?
Yeah, so Elon Musk, he's Starlink is his space-based internet service. So he's got 75 or 65 satellites out there at the moment. Might even be more than that, going around the world, and he's going to be releasing even more. He thinks that they will have a beta ready in about 3 months' time. So people can start a private beta testing, so people can start connecting to his space-based internet service provider. And then in 6 months' time, it'll be public, so it'll be released for anyone to join and take part in the beta. So I think this is great because it's going to be global internet from satellites. It's kind of interesting for the countries that like restricting internet access, because there's a potential there. If a satellite's going above China, you could potentially connect to that satellite and get around their Great Firewall of China.
Well, it'll always be above China because satellites are in fixed positions.
Yeah. But
they rotate at the same speed.
You know
as
what I mean?
the Earth.
You've now got the option when you go there to go and get a contract out of Elon and his Starlink satellites and connect to them and get around all the sensitivity that censoring that China does and other countries.
Well, I'm sure that's what it's about. I'm sure this is that net neutrality. Despite what idiots on Facebook will say that this is now part of the global Illuminati conspiracy that works with the chips that they'll inject into you for the COVID-19 virus to control your mind and all that kind of rubbish that goes on. I think this is a good move.
The interesting thing is, I found out when I was looking into it, they have to have licensing agreements with the countries.
Right.
How can a country block my device connected to one of his satellites? What's the physical block there? There's no way of blocking that, I don't see. So even if they haven't got a license, I reckon I could still connect to his satellites if you needed to. It's like a satellite phone. The whole point of a satellite phone is you can connect from anywhere, no matter what. So I can't see how any country can block you from accessing his Starlink internet.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? There'll be no doubt trying to, James, that's for sure. Freedom of communication and speech does not go well for totalitarian dictatorships. They don't like that stuff.
There you go. That's Carl on his politics.
Says Mr. Political.
Straight into Microsoft Word now. So this is actually one good thing that Microsoft has done. I'm pleased with. They have now marked it. So if someone does a double spacing on their document, it now marks it as an error, which is superb.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Google doesn't.
I know Google doesn't. That's why Microsoft is leading the way on this one, Microsoft Word. That's why I'm so pleased about it.
Why is the double space not the correct thing to do after being taught for so many? Have they changed it?
Well, double spacing only existed because of limitations in typewriters. So typewriters' font face was so similar that it was hard to spot a full stop or period or whatever you want to call it. So therefore, they did double spacing so you could see where the full stop was. And it was all down to typeface. But of course, no one uses a typewriter anymore. So it's just to carry on from that.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm pleased that double spacing is now being marked as incorrect, because it's like, clearly if you've learned double spacing, it means you're quite old and that you originally learned typing on a typewriter.
Excuse me.
Exactly.
I did not learn on a typewriter.
You sure?
Yeah, I think so.
So you just got taught badly then, because by then there would have been no variable fonts.
I went to a comprehensive school. What do you think?
They taught you how to do double spacing. That's not great.
I don't think they did teach me that. I don't know where they taught me double spacing.
Do you know anyone who does double spacing, Aimee? There must be some people you spotted.
I don't know if I have seen it. There was something else that I picked up on Word that I thought had changed the other day, but I can't remember what it was. It might come back to me, but I think because I've never been somebody that's done double spacing, I'm just the single spacer, and I use Word all the time at the moment, obviously with my college.
Hey, that's not the best thing to say. Yeah, we'll edit that to Google Docs.
I have been using it a lot more though, because a lot of my my students that are in my team, they all use it. So in group work and things like that. So it has been used by me a lot more than I thought it would, which is good.
Is this at the college that you're studying at?
The college, yeah. A lot of the other students, they prefer G Suite, especially when we're sharing work and all doing group presentations and things like that. And it's something that we've been using that everybody can sort of dip in and out and do their bit, and you can see who's done what, which is really good for your reflection and stuff. So I have been using it a lot.
Good stuff. That's what we like to hear. Good college using G Suite. I like them. Which college is it, by the way? We'll give them a shout out.
Selby College.
Selby College, G Suite. That's the way to be. Here's something you might like then. So if you've got, I don't know, do you have an iPhone or an iPad?
iPhone and iPad.
So with the Google Drive's now adding Face ID and Touch ID to Google Drive. So before you can open it, you have to verify it's you. So it just protects your data a bit better than before, because at the moment you hand your phone to anybody, and once it's unlocked, they can just go in and have a look at anything you've got stored in Google Drive or any other app. But with this, they'd have to also then get a picture of your face as well.
And with the Face ID is very good on iPhone, so you wouldn't even you won't notice. You literally, you're just going to click it and it'll just see you because it's so good. So you'd only notice if you hand it to someone who doesn't have obviously your face.
Yeah, I think it's very good, things like that, especially with the banking app and stuff. I've got Face ID on the majority of my apps, even things like getting into the gas and electric bill. There's only me that can see that, which is good.
I find it interesting, James, with Monzo that we use, that Monzo does just let you in.
It's in the settings you turn on fingerprint ID, which is what I've got turned on.
Oh, right. It used to not have that, didn't it, when we first started? Or has that always been there?
It's always been there. You just don't like going into the settings. but it's always been there.
Any opportunity to humiliate me, he takes it. Doesn't he?
Final story of the news section then, and it's about our favourite buddy, COVID-19. So the NHS is now trialling its tracking app in the Isle of Wight.
Yep.
What's interesting though is the UK government has gone completely different to the rest of the world. So the UK government is doing a tracking app that's stored centrally in a data center somewhere, but it collects all the data on your not all the data on your phone, but all the data you give it permission to, and it uploads it to the data center, and the government can keep hold of it for as long as they want, which is complete opposite of to everyone else. So Apple and Google, ironically, the two companies that want to keep as much data about you as possible for advertising, they've released it. They're releasing a contact tracing facility on Android phones and iPhones, but that stores all the data locally on your phone. It doesn't send any data to a data center. So Google and Apple have no access to that whatsoever. So it's completely on your phone. It's up to you what you do with it. But with the UK one, every 28 days, you're asked to upload your data. And as soon as you hit that upload data, all the data that gets uploaded leaves your phone. It's now in their data center for the UK government to do what they like with. They're claiming they'll use it to sell it for research and things like that. But you basically lose access of it. And it's interesting that the UK government's always been trying to get access to people's data with its snoopers bill and stuff like that. And this is just the next step to try and get access to location data and all this data they couldn't normally get easily. And because of coronavirus, a lot of people are going to be willing to install this without realizing the privacy issues with it.
Yeah.
While using the Apple and Google model that the rest of the world is using is a far more privacy respecting model. But that's the government trying to steal everything off you. What do you think, Carl?
Yeah, I agree. I would have preferred it to have been the Apple Google model as well because of how they've done it. Our government does say that they will pseudonymize the data, which means it's been anonymized to a point.
Problem with that is you can reverse that.
Yes.
Before.
Yeah, you can reverse that process. It's not fully anonymized.
So when you hit upload,
this comes down to how much do you trust the government is doing what's in the best interests for you, and how much do you value your privacy against the result of what it is that you get from the process they've asked you to do. I'm going to use the app because I do believe that this virus exists, and I do believe that it kills people. as you said, I have a few people on Facebook who I know from my skateboarding days who are lunatic conspiracy theorists. And I keep them, James, you'd say block them, but I keep them just to see the madness. And 1 million people listen to David Icke this week and his ridiculousness. And there's a million straight away who won't go near this stuff and won't do it. Or will put lies into it and feed rubbish to it. So, you know, I believe that it's for the right reasons, but yeah, they could have done it better. They could have gone for a better method. But again, they want that data, like you said.
The general rule is if you're going to commit a crime, leave your phone behind. Don't take it with you.
The thing that gets me, that makes me laugh the most, is these conspiracy people go on about they're watching you as they post it on Facebook. You idiot! If there's one company in the world that's collected data better than anyone, it's Facebook. And here you are talking about it on there, and as if all the clever people in the world who worked out that we're actually controlled by an Illuminati, it was David Icke. Yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, stop me. I'm ranting, James, on that. I'll stop.
Yeah, you haven't gone and burnt down any 5G masts yet, have you?
I've not.
That's good. Any of your friends?
Don't start me on the people who've attacked BT OpenReach workers. Idiots.
Well, that's the end of the news section. Relief. And now we're on to your interview, Aimee. So we'll give her, let's say, so Aimee works at Power Minerals, who have been clients of ours for probably about, I reckon it might be about 3 years now.
I think, yeah,
3 years.
Fourth, yeah.
So, Aimee, tell us a bit about yourself, how you started at Power Minerals, what your current role is at Power Minerals, and what you normally do in a day.
Well, I'm Aimee. I am 25 this month, and I've been with Power Minerals over 7 years now. Started with them as an apprentice, just doing a business administration high-level apprentice qualification. And after a couple of months, the company decided to take me on full-time and still allow me to finish the qualification. So as time's gone on, I've sort of gone from administration duties, then more involved in sales. And then after a couple of years, I became a sales and distribution coordinator, working sort of frontline with the sales team, looking at selling the materials internationally, selling the materials in the UK, becoming more familiar with the sales process and understanding the business and things like that. So day to day, we it's a very sort of busy frontline sales operation that we have. Normal scenario, sort of pre-coronavirus, we would have a little bit of an environment like the stock exchange, really very busy, very upbeat, everybody on the phones. You know, we're serving a growing construction industry. And obviously now things have quietened down a little bit. We've found a lot of customers have, due to the virus, decided to close sites. So recently it's been a little bit quieter than normal, but the work is still there. We're still keeping busy with stuff. And I think going forward, obviously I'm due to finish my qualification this month. So I've been studying part-time for 2 years while working full-time with Power Minerals. I'm doing a higher national qualification in business administration.
Yeah.
So at the end of May, I will have completed my HNC, which, to be honest, I never thought I'd get to the end of, because 2 years is a long time when you're working and running a home and maintaining a lifestyle as well. But I have thoroughly enjoyed the course, and Power Minerals have supported me fantastically throughout the course. Obviously, they've backed it right from the start. So that's where I am today. I've got 3 weeks until the course is finished. I think it'll be a little bit of a bizarre end, simply because we didn't think we'd be completing in the middle of a world pandemic, but it'll definitely be one that I'll remember, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think, potentially later in the year, once the college reopens, I can get back in and see the students and see the tutors. Obviously, I've spent a hell of a lot of time with them in the past 2 years, working very closely with the different topics we've been studying. So I've only got 3 weeks and that will be finished. So I'll have even more free time to not do much until we're allowed out.
Power Minerals, it's a pulverized ash that you resell to the construction industry. Is that's what Power Minerals does?
Yes, Power Minerals Limited, we supply a byproduct into the construction industry. So it's material that's come from coal-fired power stations. They produce pulverized fuel ash once obviously the coal's gone into the boiler. there is always material left after the energy has been produced, and that's the products that we sell. We have sales all over the UK. We have involvement with international sales. We can sell small amounts in bags, or we sell millions of tons a year. So the volumes are, we do sell a lot of material throughout the year. We serve the construction industry, house builders, people that do ground stabilisation. So pretty much anywhere that you see concrete silos, housing estates, the roads we walk on, the blocks that build our houses, there is ash and products in all those sort of things, and that's what we do as a business.
I guess that technology is quite important in all that, because it's the whole thing's a big technical operation, from the power stations down to the computers you use.
Absolutely is, yeah. There's a lot of technology involved, and as you say, a lot of technicalities as well with the products. It's not just any old ash. It's not just anything sort of dug from the ground. It's, everything that we sell is certified, and we take pride in the products that we sell to the industry. And as a business, obviously, the business has been going way longer than when I started, and I've seen the business change. I've seen people in and out, people that previously worked for the company returning. And I think now the business has got a really good team of people. We are only a small team, and we, everybody's sort of all reading from the same page, and we all want the same goal for the business, to be successful and to grow, and for people to come to us for their materials.
I found that was interesting, James. Coal-fired power stations, they're closing down generally. So when I was chatting with Ivan, one of the directors at Power Minerals, about this, I was going, well, how does that work then if they're all closing down? And then I was aware there is a stockpile of fly ash. There is a lot of this stuff. Yeah. And in fact, as you say, Amy, there's a future. There's a successful future for the business in areas that I didn't even know about, because Ivan was explaining to me how actually having coal-powered stations are kind of irrelevant now.
Yeah.
One of them, Fiddler's Ferry, which was one that you dealt with, I think is recently closing down. And it's actually irrelevant to the business because there's still so much of this stuff that's been stockpiled over years.
There is, and that's, I think, maybe early in the days with Power Minerals, they, as a business, may have been reliant on coal generation, whereas as time's gone on and the government have decided that there will come to a point where coal generation isn't required for our energy, whereas maybe years ago it was the best thing. Everybody, when you think of the mines and the mining industry as its own, the business may have been reliant, but I think as the business has developed over the years and we've looked at different ideas beyond coal generation, so this plan was maybe put in place even 5 years ago before the government said this is going to be it for coal. Power Minerals are always looking at the next 5 years, the next 10 years, looking at what we can do beyond coal generation, and that's something that we're actually already doing now. Obviously, as Fiddler's Ferry, as Kyle said, it's the most recent one to cease coal generation. We've got an exclusive contract with SSE that allows us to screen the material and sort of withdraw it from the stockpiles to create a suitable product for the industry that's just as high quality as it was if it came fresh from the boilers. And that's something we will look to do long term. That's something that, we can offer as a business way beyond the life of the coal power stations, because there's not long left now, and there isn't many left that have got any coal generation time left. So there's not going to be that fresh, readily available material like there used to be.
Very detailed answer. It's good to know that Power Minerals will be around for a long, long time as well.
Absolutely, yeah. We're not going anywhere anytime soon, so I've been told anyway. And even through the virus, we're doing everything that we can to make sure as a business that we survive. And as far as we are now, we're doing very well, and everything, in the end, whenever that may be, we're still going to be there to serve the industry.
I remember at the start, James, when I started working with you, I went up there quite a few times.
Yes, you did.
To the power station to sell.
Long drive.
Yeah, it is. It's a good old drive. And we did have to go out and sort, Amy knows only too well. We had a lot of things to sort out. We had some messy cabling, broken cabling. We had some old equipment. We had to keep a server going, even though we don't like them. We had to keep one going for a bit. But over time, we've improved things, replaced things, moved away from the server. And now I've actually said to Amy, do you want me to come up and see you guys? And you're like, no, it's no real need. Like, it's all right.
Yeah,
We
I think
have transformed that from where it was to where it is now.
Saving him on a
absolutely.
3-hour drive.
Well, he won't go because he'll go, oh, well, it's a lot further for me because I'm further down south. So it has to be you because you're nearer.
Can't beat the drive to Yorkshire. It's, you know, as much as it's long, it's always worth it in the end.
But I do get a brew, I have to say.
Yeah.
The first time he went up there, he was on a mobile network that had no reception. So when he got through the security gates and was in the car park, he couldn't get in contact with anyone to get into the building. So I remember you had to call me, and then I think I had to call you, Aimee, to let him know he was out the front to let him in.
And then I got told off for parking the wrong way around.
Yeah.
I got told off for that. James likes to laugh at me for this because we have a customer who makes you park in a certain way. You must reverse into the space purely because that's how they like it to look. It's not a health and safety issue.
Right.
And I wasn't doing this and I didn't know. And everyone in the company was laughing at me behind my back about it.
I knew about it. I knew about it as well, and because the MD likes it to be parked in a certain way, and it was driving him mad every time he came in and saw cars parked the wrong way. But I decided not to tell Carl for a few weeks anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing on Drax. Obviously, it is a policy. I think I do agree with the fact that it looks nice because it is very neat and tidy when all the cars are parked the same way. But yeah, that's one thing that unfortunately it's not just for the cosmetic reasons, it's the policy on site, and I think for safety.
Get good at reverse parking.
It makes sense. It makes sense because when you drive out, when you're coming out, you're more likely to hit someone than when you're going into the space. Yeah. And so that makes sense. The flip side is when you park in the certain states of the United States, if you don't drive into the space, you don't reveal your rear number plate. So if you reverse park in America, you can get done by the police for that because you don't have to have a number plate on the front of your car in the States, not in some states anyway.
I never knew that.
Certainly when I was on holiday in Florida, I got pulled for that one by a police officer because that's one of the rules in Florida, and I did that, and the police officer had a word with me.
Yeah.
Which is always fun because they got big guns and stuff, and they're quite, they're not friendly. They're very direct. There's no laughing with American police officers. They're deadly serious.
You didn't have a nice day then?
It was all right.
I've
had run-ins with the Italian Carabinieri, the military police. Now that's not fun. I can tell you, especially when you haven't got any ID that day with you because you've left it back at your mates and you've got no identification either. Don't take pictures accidentally of a house that's under fatwa by mistake. That's my recommendation. Here's James's face. You can't see this, listeners, but James's face is like weary.
I'm trying to think of a way to get on to the next question for Aimee based off you talking about a fatwa. It's very difficult for me to do a segue.
Come on, segue. Usually tell us.
Segue even. So anyway, Aimee, where do you think you'll be in about 5 years' time with Power Minerals? What's your ambition?
Well,
Ivan might be listening. So.
If Ivan is listening, my wishes may come true. But I think I would, of course, like more responsibility within the business. I think that's something as a person I've aimed for anyway, to become either responsible of a department or a small group of people. But I think because, you know, my heart's in sales, I love what I do. I love the customer contact. I think sort of looking at those areas, it's something that maybe in the future I'd like to pursue, whether it's in HR, in operations, anything like that. I'd definitely like to see myself with Power Minerals in 5 years. I can't see that I'm going to be going anywhere. I think I've got a long-term plan with the business. So I definitely think more responsibility potentially would be an aim of mine. And as I say, maybe to look at a specific field within the business that I can work on and potentially have further education, be it a HR qualification, or whether I went more down the operations route with how the business is developing as well, or potentially something like health and safety. I think there's a lot of avenues that I think I can have a look at in the coming years as I develop as a person and as the business changes as well.
And is that what you're studying at Selby? Is it HR?
I'm doing a HNC, so it's a higher national certificate in business management. So it's a level, I think it's level 4 or level 5. I should know that. I think it's level 4 qualification. And that at the moment covers business as a whole. So there's many units that I've learned about management accounting. I've done management operations. I've done human resources. all aspects of business. Obviously, that's all been built into the course. So that's the qualification is one as a whole, where I think in the future I may pick out one from that list, let's say, and sort of go into that further and develop myself and my skills and my knowledge based on that subject, be it HR. I've recently finished a marketing assignment, and I've decided marketing isn't for me. So that's one that I can eliminate. I think, you know, it's a good subject. All businesses need marketing, but it's something that I've found a little bit rusty on, something that I've really maybe not found as I've not wanted to engage as much with the topic. So that's something that I don't think I'll go into in the future. But of course, it's been as interesting as the others.
You're more sales than the marketing.
Sales, yeah, sales, customer service, you know, the day-to-day contact with people. As you've probably gathered, I love talking, which I think you've known from the start anyway. I love having those relationships with people and sort of building relationships and working on them and getting to know people and what they want and what we can do for them. I think is really important to me.
Well, this is why it works well. So people are listening. Power Minerals has got a number of sites around the country, and Aimee's based at Drax Power Station. And Aimee's our point of contact. You're a point of contact at Drax. So you're kind of like our customer service representative for us, and vice versa. So whenever we need to discuss technology or anything like that, it always goes through you. So going on to the technology, what would you say currently is your favourite bit of technology that you use at work?
That I use at work, probably the laptop. Yeah, definitely the laptop. I think, especially at the minute, working from home, if I decide I'm going to do something downstairs for an hour and I can, you know, carry the laptop wherever you go, I think is the flexibility with that. And for me, it's, you know, everything seems to be working well. The systems that we've got in place, luckily I've got really good broadband here, so I've not had any problems with connectivity.
Your move to home was quite simple as well, wasn't it? I guess everyone just took their computers plugged in because it's all cloud-based now.
Yeah, absolutely. I was the only piece of equipment I brought home with me was my desk phone, because we were able to plug them straight into the internet. Even though I'm upstairs and the hub's downstairs, my partner managed to get the wire from downstairs out the house up through the window, and I've got the phone plugged in. There's probably about 40 meters of cable stuff behind the wardrobe because it was a little bit longer than we anticipated. But everything was really easy, and I managed to get a printer within a couple of days, and get that set up with the laptop, and everything sort of worked really well from there. So
I know you guys are using Google Meet a lot as well now for video calling.
Yes, we are. That we did a quiz on Friday with the team, which was great. Everybody got on Google Meet. Obviously, some of the team took their towers and screens home because not everybody had the facility to use a laptop. So not everybody had a mic and a camera that needed one at the time. So when it came to the Google Meet, I used the few tips that you'd sent through about downloading the app and being able to use it on an iPad. And a couple of the team picked it up on their iPad on Friday, which went really well. And it was great that we could all see each other on the screen as well.
Who won the quiz?
Who won? I think it was Sharon and Laura, or they came near the top. I came last, which I was really disappointed in.
Were you on a team? Was everyone on a team?
Individuals. And there was 4 topics. Ivan was our quiz master. There was 4 topics. A couple work related. One related to Tim and Nigel and how well we know them. And it turns out I don't know them as well as I thought. And then one general knowledge section, which was good fun. So yeah, it was great to see everybody, and sort of, I think after that, that's when it hit home for me with the lockdown that, yeah, I've spoke to people and had FaceTimes with one-to-one, but not seeing everybody all on one screen, just because everybody's been busy and obviously some on furlough, some working. And I think that's when it probably hit home for me, seeing the team for the first time together, but on the screen rather than face-to-face. But it went well, and we've said we're definitely going to do another one in a couple of weeks. And Nigel was able to provide an update for everybody all at once. We could all hear him, we could all see him, and he gave his view on how the business is and gave everybody an update on where we stand at the moment, which was really good. I think it was a big lift for everyone.
Please tell me, with Ivan as the quiz master, that he did a name the power station round. He puts a photo of the power station up, and you've got to guess what it is.
Very similar. I think that might be on the next one.
Oh, I hope it is. I've got to see that. That'd be brilliant.
Abbreviations. So obviously, a lot of our materials are all abbreviated. I think everybody got them right. I'd like to think so. And there was a couple more finance ones that I got wrong, and there was one that maybe only a couple of people would know if they're involved in that field, be it technical or whatever. The first one, I must say, was what does PML stand for, which was a great way to kick off the quiz. And Nigel said, if you get this wrong, you're fired. So everybody was already laughing, which is great.
Super. That's what technology is about. It's meant to be enjoyable and easy to use, and it seems like that's worked well.
Yeah, and I've managed to get, as I said to yourself and Kyle a couple of weeks ago, I've managed to get my mum on Google Meets, which is great because, bless her, she isn't great with technology. She's very hands-on, is my mum. And recently, obviously, given what's going on, I sort of said, rather than trying to mess about with the phones, let's try and do something on the laptops. Towards the end of the day, when we're both still set up before our work day finishes. And the first time I sent her the link and I waited and she arrived and it went really well. And every week since then, we have a Google Meet, which is great. So works really well on a personal level as well.
That's super. And just before we round up the interview, there's 2 more questions that we always like to ask. So do you have an inspiration? Anyone you admire? Anyone famous? It doesn't necessarily have to be famous, but anyone that you look up to?
Well, I think seeing as I've been just talking about my mum on a personal level, my mum's always been a massive inspiration to me, simply because of her work ethic and her attitude and who she is as a person. People who are famous, I did one of the topics for college about entrepreneurs, and we spoke about Karen Brady, and I've done a lot of research on Karen Brady, and that's somebody that I think I look up to business-wise, along with Michelle Mone as well. Obviously, they both came from very different backgrounds. Karen Brady having a lot of it handed to her, but has become extremely successful. Whereas Michelle Mone, on the other hand, was set up, very much from her own back. She wasn't given anything. She wasn't handed any, handed any contacts. There was no initial finances pressed from parents behind her. So I think in different ways, they're both inspirational just because of their work ethic and where they've come as individuals. So I think with those 2 women, and definitely my mum, I think my mum's she's been successful all her life, and she's studied and has always had that can-do sort of go-get-it attitude. And I think that's something that I've adapted as I've got older. And I think I'll continue to do that as well as I change as a person.
You may have already seen it, but Peter Jones from Dragon's Den did a TV series where he interviewed entrepreneurs, and Michelle Mone is one of them. You'll probably be able to find it on YouTube if you want to have a look at that. Ready for the final question? Final question is, I've stolen this from Desert Island Discs. If you were on a desert island, what 3 bits of technology would you take with you?
My phone, definitely, to start with. I do think I could live without it short term, but I would have to have some form of communication device. So it would be my phone. I was going to say a kettle. Would you class a kettle as technology? But if I'm on a desert island...
Well, electricity is technology. It uses electricity, it's technology, in my opinion.
Yeah. Providing I had the things to make a cup of tea, I would take a kettle. But that's probably not going to happen. So I think if I could have connectivity, I'd take one of the Amazon speakers. Because we use them all the time. We've got the light bulbs, we've got them in all the different rooms.
You're not going to need the light bulbs on the desert island, though.
Well, not the light bulbs, definitely not. I can't think of 3 things that I would have to take with me. I think the main thing would just be a communication device, simply so that I could keep in touch with people. Obviously, a kettle if I could make a cup of tea, because I drink tea till it comes out of my ears. That'd be it. I think I can only confirm 2 definite items.
I was just thinking, take a smart barbecue if they exist.
If they exist, yeah.
Smart barbecue, you can go kill a chicken on the island, just stick it on the barbecue and it cooks it automatically for you perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's something like that would be great. But even you're probably expecting me to maybe say something like hair straighteners or something like that. But for me, that probably wouldn't even bother me. I think as long as there was sunshine, I could speak to people and have a cup of tea. That's all I would require on a desert island.
Nice and simple.
Yeah.
Shall we go on to the recommendations then? And we can wind up the podcast. So recommendations. So last 2 weeks ago, I spoke about Facebook, The Inside Story by Stephen Levy, which you then went and purchased and listened to as well, Carl, and you loved it.
Yeah, I'm still listening to it now when I do my running. It's great. Really, really good.
So just to recap, it's about how Facebook came to be and how it started in a dorm room and came up to be a multi-billion-pound business. So
Right.
the other one I'm going to recommend is a few years before by Stephen Levy, and it's called In the Plex, and it's basically the same as how Google came to be. So from the starts of Google, from back in university with the two founders doing their research, all the way how Google Drive and Google Docs and all that stuff came along, and then all the way to a massive multi-billion multinational company as well. But the books by Stephen Leary, if you're into technology, are really good, really, really good, especially if you want to learn about the businesses and how they started up and how they came to be and the characters inside them. Carl, what's your recommendation?
Mine is a Netflix show called The Last Dance, which is about the Chicago Bulls in the 96-97 season at the end of Michael Jordan's career. And it is a look back over the 10 years of how the Bulls went from being a nothing basketball team to being pretty much the biggest American basketball team in history and NBA winners, with focus on some of the ex-players that are in it and the dynamic of the management, the owner, Michael Jordan. Really, really good. The only annoying thing about this show is it's on Netflix, but it has a release schedule. So it's like a normal television program, which sucks. I got into it and then I couldn't watch the episodes because I'll wait till next week. What is Netflix doing? They've started doing this. And the whole point of Netflix was not to do this. But it is good.
Yeah. They've done that on a few episodes, on a few series. It's normally the really big ones they do it on.
Yeah.
Apart from Tiger King.
They didn't do it on Tiger King, though, did they? Gave us all of that.
But, I think they did it on Making a Murderer when that first came out as well.
Yeah.
Have you seen Game? Have you watched Tiger King, Amy?
I have, yes.
They're going to make it into a film now, a TV show, actually.
They have this morning.
Nicolas Cage. That will be funny. He will be really funny as Joe Exotic.
Yeah, I think he will. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. We're a little bit cagey with it to begin with. It was a recommendation from my dad. He said, watch it as a bit of a laugh. And then me and Ben really got into it. And I think it probably more fascinated me more the fact that I didn't know how big this tiger exchange thing was in America. The breeding and the keeping of them, or, whether it was rescue or a zoo. I didn't realise actually how much of a big thing it was, and it ruled so many people's lives. It was fascinating.
A lot of clients have watched it because we actually recommended it on our Happy Easter mailing that we sent out to everybody.
Yeah.
Watch Tiger King if you're a bit bored during lockdown.
There is Louis Theroux as well, where Louis goes to visit Joe Exotic in 2003, and that documentary features one of the other guys from Tiger King as well. So it's so Louis Theroux was there with these people years and years ago. So it's interesting to see that and then know what's going to happen in the future when you're watching that historical bit.
Yeah.
I think it was repeated the other day on the BBC. They've obviously pulled it out of the archives because it's relevant.
Yeah. Well, they're on about trying to release Joe Exotic from prison, I think I read. Seeing as though he's become just such, not going to say an icon, but I think he's become so popular based on this series and the information that they potentially look at an early release for him. So I think that'll be interesting. I think he's going to come out of prison a very famous man based on his Netflix series. And of course, if they're doing more about the Joe Exotic thing, we read just only a small article. I don't think much information's been released, but they're considering either an early release or some sort of condition for him whilst he's in prison. So
well, he was stitched up, wasn't he, on the animal welfare issues? It wasn't the gun for hire that got him. So yeah, it's not like he was convicted on a charge which would not allow early parole.
Yeah,
it was compared to Al Capone, wasn't it? Al Capone wasn't caught on all the people he murdered. He was caught on a tax evasion.
Tax evasion, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Any recommendations you've got, Amy, that you'd like to share with everybody?
I recently watched the 2 series of Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime. Absolutely fantastic. Really, really enjoyed it. It was something that my partner recommended he'd watch season 1, and then he's watched season 1 again with me, and we did season 2, and I was really disappointed when it was finished because I got really into it. I think the whole story behind, you know, the investigations, I really enjoy watching things like that. And then one we've recently finished was Outer Banks, which is on Netflix. I think that was in one of the top 10 week before last. And that's just a group of American kids, 2 sets of people, both from very different backgrounds, one rich, one poor, and they end up going to try and they hunt gold. And it all relates back to a ship that sank many, many years ago. And the way that story evolves and the extreme lengths that they go to try and get this gold, it's a really easy watch, I think, if people are wanting something that's short and sweet, because I'm a short and sweet series person. I don't watch anything that's longer than a couple of series, just because I get quite bored with it, to be honest. So that's definitely a good one to watch. And the last one is Killing Eve. If you've never seen Killing Eve, that's definitely something to watch on BBC. A bit more of a drama. It's got Jodie Comer and Sandra Owen. Absolutely fantastic. We're on to, I think this is the second or third season.
Is that a crime series?
Yes, it's a little bit, I say a little bit, it's quite violent. It's not something you would watch with the children, but it's very interesting, and it's all about different countries, and it's one lady is an assassin, and the way that the story's unveiled and the characters that are in it, everybody plays a really good part, and that's also another easy watch. So something that we enjoy, if you like that sort of thing anyway.
There's some excellent recommendations for everybody.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the podcast, Aimee. I hope you enjoyed it. And
thank you very much for having me. It was great to see you both. I know the listeners can't see you, but you both look really well, which is good.
Likewise.
And I'm going to say sorry to other guests, but I've enjoyed Aimee the most as a guest on our podcast. She enjoys talking, and you've gone and cracked right on, and it's been really good. I've enjoyed it. It's just been a good chat, you know, if it wasn't a podcast.
Really good to catch up with you both. And we're hoping, just a quick little one before we finish, potentially by the first week of June, for us to be back in the hot seats. We're sort of working through processes and strategies in getting everybody back in the office the next few weeks. Working closely with the directors to get the office set up, make sure everybody's safe, make sure everybody's, you know, working areas are safe. So hopefully, a couple of weeks' time, I'll be able to say that we're back in our happy place at Drax.
That'll be superb. Kyle's already jumped off the podcast before we've even finished. But he's back again. He's come back. We hadn't ended yet. I had done the outro.
The hangout came up on my screen, and I clicked the red button. There you go.
But thank you both very much for having me. It was great to catch up, and I'm sure I'll speak to you again soon.
Definitely.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks for everyone to listen, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and tell all your friends about it. And we'll speak to you in 2 weeks' time.
See you later.
See you later.
Bye-bye.